So guys, as you guys could probably tell, I haven't been very active here on YouTube for a while now. And I don't know, that tail half of 2018, for whatever reason, just my Star Wars fandom, my Star Wars hype, my love of Star Wars, my passion for Star Wars just wasn't jiving right for whatever reason. The biggest issue that I could attribute it to is A, there was The Last Jedi drama, because let's face it, that's all it was a complete cluster of drama. Then you had the Solo box office issues, and then you had the initial reaction to Star Wars Resistance. And I don't know, I wasn't excited about anything necessarily Star Wars. I stopped playing Battlefront 2 nearly as often as I used to. I was more consuming Star Wars out of habit than anything. And I stopped making videos because, I don't know, early on in December, I was editing a video and I went, I'm not enjoying this. So I was sitting there editing and I had the sudden realization, I'm not enjoying making videos for some reason. So I just decided, you know what? I'm going to hang it up, leave it alone, not worry super hard about it, and come back to it when and if I'm interested. Now I am. And the reason I am interested in Star Wars again is affected by a couple of different things. Or rather, I've been affected by a couple of different things that has made me want to talk about Star Wars again. And the biggest reason is Star Wars Resistance. I didn't watch any of Resistance going through, I don't know, the second half of November all the way until when the trailer came out, the second half of season 1 trailer, the mid-season trailer, or whatever they're calling it. And I went back and I watched everything. I just sat down, I binge watched all 4 or 5 or 6 episodes or whatever it was, and then watched the premiere of the second half of season 1. And guys, I don't know whether or not you guys felt this way when you guys watched Resistance, but for me, Resistance was just a huge breath of fresh air for me as a Star Wars fan. It has everything that I expect and want out of Star Wars, for the most part. I'm also a big Force person, and Resistance has not even gone anywhere near that. Okay, it's gone a little near it, but not super close to it, nowhere near close to it. But the point still stands that the lessons and the morality lessons and the hard looks at realistic things like how citizens react to a hostile government taking over your independent colony, those types of themes are something that are tackled in things like the Clone Wars. There are things that are tackled in the prequels. There are things that are tackled even, to some extent, in the original trilogy and even in Rebels. And I am so happy with how deep Resistance manages to be while still being primarily designed for 10-year-olds. You've got the character of Sonara, who, by the way, keep in mind, guys, I'm completely caught up all the way through the new Stormtrooper, or the new Trooper, which is the most recent episode as of February 10th. I watched it on the Disney Go, or Disney Now app, whatever. So there's spoilers all the way up through that. Just going to get into that here. And I'm kind of using this as an opportunity to have a sort of catch-up review of everything. Anyways, I was talking about Sonara, sorry. Sonara's storyline is so adult in that you can have people who maybe were trying to get into a certain field of work or a certain career and then realize that the professional culture inside of that career isn't necessarily what they want to be associated with, but they also still feel trapped in that. While simultaneously, a kid can empathize with Sonara through I'm hanging out with this group of friends, and suddenly I meet another group of friends, and for whatever reason, these other group of friends seem really nice, but that group of friends is now at odds with my old group of friends, and the fact that they managed to juggle that many things at once while still allowing Kaz to provide some of the comedic relief and allowing BB-8 to provide some comedic relief and have the cool blaster fights and the sweet ace flying around the giant sea monster that's come to take its baby back. The fact that they can handle that is so insane. Like, I wrote a tweet the other day. Actually, it wasn't even the other day. It was like a few weeks ago now. And I just realized literally like 2 days ago that Justin Ridge liked it because it had the Star Wars Resistance hashtag in it. I guess that's how he saw it. By the way, Justin Ridge is he's kind of the showrunner for Star Wars Resistance. And the tweet said something along the lines of, Star Wars Resistance is a lot like a kazoo. People who want more adult themes, people who want things like Game of Thronesiness or more adult types of humor and more clever bits of humor as opposed to just Kaz falling over himself or BB-8 doing something, rolling over Kaz's foot or Tam beating up on Kaz for being a moron or whatever. Oh, Kaz is kind of the butt of a lot of jokes. Anyways, those types of people that want that kind of stuff, which is totally awesome. I kind of want that stuff too. I'm really hoping that we get that in the Cassian series and the Mandalorian. But to those type of people who want that type of thing, I should say, kazoos are annoying and obnoxious things. They make an obnoxiously loud sound that doesn't sound good, and it's just meh. However, to both children and grown-ass kids like myself who, just find simple joy in silly things like leaving pop cans out in the freezing weather to see how long until they burst open, and just playing a kazoo because memes and because it's a stupid joke. To them, Star Wars Resistance is the dopest ever. And like I said, Justin Ridge liked that tweet. So, at least to me, that tells me that that's kind of what they were aiming for. It's just supposed to be clean, simple fun, just like the Galaxy of Adventure shorts. By the way, you should check that out on the Star Wars Kids YouTube channel. But yes, please. A lot of people are grumpy about those because they're recycling content, but that's the crap that is going to get my future kids into Star Wars. That and Forces of Destiny, and yes, then Star Wars Resistance, and then whatever else they might have produced in between now and when that eventual kid is, 4 or 5 or 6 years old. That's how they're going to get into Star Wars, and I'm immensely grateful for that. Also, they're just cool. Anyways, I'm not supposed to be here talking about Galaxy of Adventures. And you know what? Let's go back to just some of the characters, man. Like, yes, Kazuto is very much the comic relief character, and I love him for that. He is so very, very slowly becoming a tiny bit more competent at pretty much everything, especially considering the most recent episode, The New Trooper. Yes, luck does play a big part in his success, but luck plays a part in every hero's success, especially in Star Wars. You look at characters like Luke in A New Hope. Luke is Kazuto. Like, let's be honest. Luke is Kazuto. He managed to shoot, 1 or 2 stormtroopers? Other than that, he was just bumbling around the Death Star asking questions. Oh, and a magical space wizard field gave him the power to be able to make a 1 in a million shot. Yeah, awesome. But he's also a bumbling idiot in A New Hope. And Kaz just slams that type of character home perfectly. He just fits into that mold absolutely perfectly. You got Tam, who is kind of sympathetic to the First Order because her grandfather was a worker in an Imperial factory because, well, that's what he had to do in order to provide for his family. Does that make him evil? And the First Order is only here to protect us. And it takes her meeting victims of the First Order in the kids that are living beneath the main levels of the Colossus to really begin to understand why the First Order might not be a super great thing. You got the complex and very adult backstory of Jaeger. You've got Niku, who's just the best character ever. I love Niku so much. He yes, he's a Jar Jar type character, but man, I want to be Niku when I grow up. I want to be that optimistic that people are that good. Just inherently that people are that good. I really wish I could have that belief again. Then you have Captain Doza. Like, what's going on with him? He left the Imperial Navy for personal reasons. A personal reason. You've got the interactions in between Tora and Kaz, and Tora and her father, Captain Doza. How is Tora going to handle the fact that Kaz is been deceiving her? I was about to say lying, but he's been omitting truths and operating underneath false pretenses regarding their friendship. How is she going to handle maybe learning for the first time that her father was in the Empire, especially considering that she's got basically in-universe rebel fan art hung up in her, or plastered all over her room? What about Sonara? What about when she finds out that Sonara was a pirate spy? Because we know that Sonara is going to be back because of the trailer. How is that interaction going to work out? And at the end of it all, maybe, at least to me, as somebody who really likes Tora as a character, I've got a funny feeling that Tora is way more emotionally mature than most of the other characters in this show. And I've got a really funny feeling that it's going to come down to Kaz and Sonara feeling absolutely horrible for deceiving Tora, and they're going to be trying to apologize in the middle of a firefight. Meanwhile, Tora's going to be like, yeah, we'll deal with it later. Can we worry about not dying first? I have a feeling that Tora's supposed to fill that sort of Leia-esque type vibe that we got in the original trilogy. Leia was always the one that was cool under fire. She was always the one that didn't let her emotions control how she reacted to something, even to a fault at some points. The fact that I can ramble this much about a children's TV show just showcases the amount of work that the voice actors and the writers and the animators, the animation style, like, I just thought about that when I mentioned animators. Good Lord. In this newest episode, the new Trooper, I mean, they bothered to draw in tiny little, like, scuff marks and scratch marks and stuff in each and every single Stormtrooper's armor. There's little black, like, gouges and stuff, like just little micro fractures or little micro scratches, like what you would have on your phone screen if you didn't have a phone protector. I mean, just the fact that they can pull that off on, yes, a Disney budget, but it's a Disney budget for one of a million Disney children's shows. It's just so incredible what they're managing to pull off with Star Wars Resistance. And while, yes, another big part of me wanting to get back into the Star Wars YouTube stuff and discussing Star Wars, or rather spouting my thoughts about Star Wars and discussing those thoughts as starting point, as conversation starters in the comment section, the episode 9 hype train, or rather excitement for any news at all about episode 9. Yes, I know that there was leaked reference photos that are confirmed to be, or more or less confirmed to be true, for the costumes for some of the characters in episode 9. No, I have not seen them. No, I do not have any wish to discuss them. But then you have, like, what was it, 2 weeks ago, and they're going to episode 9 title, they're going to announce it. Twitter all day And then you had it all last Tuesday with the earnings call, the quarterly earnings call, where Bob Iger, or IgerCon, as Joseph Scrimshaw has coined it, usually ends up announcing everything like The Mandalorian and The Cassian Show and all that. All of that popped up through there. And that hype is awesome. And it's one of the other reasons why I want to start talking Star Wars again. But if you guys have been sleeping on Resistance, if whoever you are watching this video right now, if you've been sleeping on Resistance, you need to give it a shot. It's 22 minutes a pop. You don't need to binge watch it. For the most part, every episode is sequential and should be watched in order. Sure, there are a couple episodes where you could skip, but you don't, at least to me, I wouldn't want to, because it's just, even just once or twice a week, sit down, watch 2 episodes, and then move on. It's like having a tiny little Star Wars cupcake. Not like even like a regular old like candle is a good thing, right? Like cupcake. I'm talking like one of the little tiny mini cupcakes, like one of the little bite-sized ones. That's what Star Wars Resistance is. And then you've got Galaxy of Adventures, which is a small handful of Skittles, and then eventually we're going to get episode 9, which is like a whole 8-course meal of Star Wars. And then even before that, we're going to get Clone Wars and The Mandalorian, which is going to be like a really good sit-down restaurant. We're going to see, I already ate, I don't know, I'm talking about food so much. But the point is that there's so much Star Wars coming, and we're already getting it. We can see the tidal wave from the shore that we're standing on right now. And I am loving looking at it. I am loving absorbing it and, figuring out the details and seeing all these little things about what Resistance characters are going to do when they find out this, or when that happens, or when this happens. Anyways, I'm really living up to my channel name right now, so I'm going to get going, let you guys get going. I'm going to turn off this camera, turn off this audio recording, and then film another video, because I want to talk about Star Wars again, and it's in large part due to Star Wars Resistance. Man, it's an awesome show, and you guys need to go see it. All right, guys, as always, may the Force be with you. Take care.